Video start in 3, 2, 1. New intro in 3, 2, 1. Shit. Don't affect me. I'm coming on, Donna. I'm coming on, Donna. I'm coming on, Donna. Bucket. The pet. Coming on, Donna. So it. Oh, hello, my wonderful broskis and broskis of the American Nation. Oh, shit, my arm, God. Ah. Okay, so Pokemon MLPFIM is kind of something that fell flat on its face because I don't really know what to do with it. I mean, the first part, and already I went all over the place with the story. This, however, is going to be something I have not done ever. One Punch Man, what if? Good friggity God. And well, considering I do know that there are other characters besides Saitama, it's like a tie-in between Sonic and Tatsumaki. I think that's her name. Tatsumaki? Yeah, I think that's her name. At the time between Sonic and Tatsumaki for favorite One Punch Man character. Because, good God, normal is boring, and trying to make normal look not boring makes it even more boring. Either that or it just makes it look weird and estranged. And not in a good way. Not in a good way at all. No. What?
You still have a drink.
No. You came back here after you already noticed I didn't have one. Take Sonic Boom, for example. I mean, it was weird and estranged, but not in a good way. Freaking lyric BS.
We here the other night and asked you, and you said no, and there was one sitting right there. Then you said, "Oh yeah, I forgot." So, ta-da! I'm just making sure, honey. That's all,
Don't you honey me.
honey.
Welcome. Basically, yeah. Tied. My favorite One Punch Man characters are tied. Tatsumaki and Sonic. You know, the ninja dude. For those of you who actually know what the frick I'm talking about whenever concerning One Punch Man. Yeah. That Tom is great and all, but he's kind of a little too strangely weird for my taste. I like some weirdness, but whenever it gets into that kind of character, just no thank you. However, Sonic and Tatsumaki, yeah, they're not bad. One of them has psychic powers and the other one's a ninja. I mean, come on. That's stuff that's pretty freaking badass. That's stuff that people still care about. Hold a second. Hold my beer. Ow. So, yeah. I've decided that since, Death Battle did their own thing with the character, and I like me some Wisdom Boomstick whenever they're not making characters are like, I like die. You know, there are so many Death Battles that Shadow's been in, he's only won one of them. And it's just sad and disappointing. Yeah, I mean, Wiz Boomstick, I thought we were friends. So, yeah. This is basically going to be, what if Izuku was Tatsumaki? Because I seriously find it easier and maybe in some things harder. I guess you could just say I find it funner to a Tatsumaki thing than a Sonic thing. Like, what if Izuku was this character? I mean, Sonic is a ninja. That's awesome. Go him. Points for Sonic. But, well, he's not a very good ninja. At least ninjas in other anime, things, are actually trying to be secretive. But Sonic is anything but. Plus, Tatsumaki being such a high-class Esper, I don't even remember what class Esper she was. I just know that she was, like the highest class tier Esper and the strongest one out of that highest class tier. So technically, she's like the best out of all the Espers. So yeah, Tatsumaki is not only an Esper, but she is really the best Esper out of all the Espers. And her abilities are ridiculous. Redonkulous ridiculous. Yeah, it actually got me to say redonkulous. So, yeah. How exactly am I going to do this? Well, I know some sort of stuff about Tatsumaki's backstory, and I think I might know how to implant it in here. However, I'm going to start at the very beginning. Enko is going to be given birth, and right away, as whenever Izuku, eyes open, and see that they're kinda gleaming with an energy that doesn't seem to be gleaming with some sort of energy, but not exactly a normal energy. And seeing as Sashi's quirk is fire breathing, not weird eye, gleaming. And, well, Enko's quirk is telekinesis, so she would know some stuff about psychic stuff. Espers. And, well, from her knowledge, she would know that this could be a cause of a possible sign of someone being born already with their quirk active. Not just with their quirk, but with their quirk active. Like, as soon as they come out of the womb, and as soon as they cut the umbilical cord, that shit got activated. And a good sign of this is, well, objects just don't lift themselves up into the air by themselves. And seeing as Enko's week after, just now giving birth, and Hasashi's quirk yet again is fire breathing, not lifting things up in the air. And, they just saw Izuku's eyes gleam. They just have to accept it. That he's an Esper. like his mother. Only Inko never remembers being told that she was this powerful of an Esper at that young of an age, like just being born. Like right out from the freaking get-go. This powerful of an Esper. And so Inko would think of a name for this, and she would just write the quirk down, Esper. Yeah, just make it that damn simple. Yet also kind of complicated because that just implies psychic powers. So, what kind of psychic powers are we talking here? Like psychokinesis, psychokinesis, telekinesis. Like, what kind of psychic powers are we talking about here, Miss Midoriya? And, well, Inko would just say, from the way the powers are acting up, it might as well just be a quirk called Esper, because they don't really know the full extent of what exactly this just is, and it just seems to not just be any sort of specific psychic power. It seems to have a lot far. It doesn't seem to be a specific type of psychic power. It seems to be very, like, you know, faceted, like several facets, like many faceted, I guess you could say. And well, when they ask her what she means about this, she says the psychic powers seem to vary what kind of psychic, ability is trying to be used. I mean, one second it could be psychokinesis, next second it could be telekinesis. They just seem to have a very varying wide scale plethora of different types of psychic power. That's why she just wrote Esper. Because technically Espers are just people with psychic powers. And well, if you are a high, like, tier class enough Esper, you can be pretty deadly. And have a pretty well versatile, amount of different psychic abilities. But this is crazy. I mean, it's one thing to have a lot of different psychic abilities, but whenever you have several different psychic classes under your belt, and you're just now born, born with a quirk that's several different psychic, not abilities, but several different psychic classes, which allow you to get all these different psychic abilities down the road. Like, Jesus Christ. That is... And as for Izuku's hair and eye color, he would have a light green, something to symbolize the Tatsumaki in him. But he would also have a lighter green version of his hair. And it would be just a little bit longer. Something that Bakugo would no doubt want to pick on him for, having longer hair than most boys. However, that's not all. As Inko, Hisashi and Inko's their relationship, Inko's thinking maybe if they have a second kid, they'll have a fire breathing quirk that's like really strong. Like our kid's psychic quirk that we called Esper is really strong and really beastly. Like, what about a fire breathing quirk? It could just not only be fire breathing, it could be complete fire manipulation of some sort. Maybe the fire manipulation could come from the fire breathing. Like, almost like the fire is being controlled from with some sort of, I don't know. And so they would be thinking on it, and eventually they would decide to have another kid. And as for the name of this kid, seeing as I'm probably not going to be doing a Sonic what if. Wait, should I do it that way? Well, seeing as he is just another One Punch Man character, another one of the people that Saitama meets. Yeah, sure. I honestly probably don't care right now. So, yeah. However, I am going to stay true to one thing, and that's that it's going to be a little sister instead of a little brother, like staying true to Sonic's actual gender. Because Tatsumaki has a little sister instead of a little brother. And so I'm going to try to stay more true to that than true to something I half-assed come up with. So at least I'll have some sort of, actual something put into something. So Izuku's younger brother is going to be named Sonic. And this is basically, well, not long after Sonic was born. Well, basically, they didn't have much time to name because Inko was told, like, at the, like, whenever they were getting them off, like Inko had, basically, Inko was in labor. One of the nurses had to give her the unfortunate news that from her vital signs, it looked like this was the last child they were ever going to have. And all the wrong reasons. All the bad reasons, more or less. And whenever Inko and Hisashi, both at the same time, would ask what the hell did they mean, the nurse would bring up Inko's vitals, and, well, she would basically bring up the vitals over time and bring up what the vitals are like now. And that's whenever Hisashi would begin to get the picture and be like, he wouldn't be able to form words. This woman that he had devoted so much of his life to. Basically, she probably wouldn't even have that much time left after the child was born. Basically, the nurse is like, ditto. You're kinda really right. And she's like, don't remind me. I mean, literally, this is going to kill her. Yeah, the vitals actually show a downward spiral through the process of actually getting Inko not only pregnant, but, the steps that they took to ensure that this went the way that, they wanted it to go. And how this kind of jeopardized Inko's health. But Inko was fine with it jeopardizing her health if it meant that they could be happy. She just didn't know that it was going to jeopardize her health this much, to the point where she wouldn't be able to be happy with them, because she would end up dying, like, close to after childbirth. And why did I say close to after? Is because I at least want to give her time, enough time to think of something. Because God knows Hisashi is distraught as all get out. And so, Inko basically, gets everything together and basically is the person who names, their child because of how distraught Hisashi is. And Inko would just be like, Hisashi? And Hisashi would just be like, yes, Inko? Please promise me you'll take care of them both very well. Both Izuku and Hisashi. I mean, blah, blah, blah. Both Izuku and Sonic. And, well, Hisashi would be like, he would want to, it's just there would be a problem. Late that night, whenever he would be, going home, emotionally crushed and all. However, the baby was sound asleep, drinking its little bottle, its little pacifier. Hisashi would admit that it's kinda hard to look at the road whenever have such an adorable son. Though he would indeed look at the road, because, that you kinda have to do that. Especially on nights like this, where it's raining. And even some thunder and lightning are coming down. That's whenever the radio is cut off for an important news announcement. It's not just going to be rain and thunder and lightning, because their whole weather thing has begun to pick up hot and cold winds, meeting near the area where Hisashi is going to try to go through in order to make the fast track home. As he was thinking in his head how he was going to break it to Izuku about the fate of their mother. So, yeah. That would indeed wake Hisashi up out of his little stupor, though, hearing about hot and cold winds meeting near that area. And he knows what that means. Tornado. So far, it's only speculated that it would be like an F2 or F3 at most class tornado. However, those are still dangerous. And that is indeed shown whenever, the car, it slowly feels like Hisashi is losing control. And you can see his house from where he is now. He's up in the sky, pretty much. Very close to. Just been picked up with their newly born second son in the midst of this F2, F3 class tornado. As now the news comes back that they were wrong. This is F5 level. And everybody's being told to evacuate the area. That's whenever, all of a sudden, something would happen. It's almost like the shifting of the tornado is being silenced by some sort of green energy. And then Hisashi would hear a voice. Dad, don't worry, I will save you. I'll save you. Mom, Dad, don't worry, I'm gonna save you guys. And Hisashi would see Izuku with both his arms out, pretty much up in the air, but not by the tornado's choice, no, by his own choice. With Esper class powers and it being a little while, this just been around Izuku's 5th birthday, and so they were eventually going to take him to the quirk doctor. However, they already knew and already diagnosed him with the quirk Esper. However, magic abilities this strong to defuse a tornado, an F5 tornado at that? Hisashi couldn't really believe his eyes. His oldest son was capable of that, diffusing a F5 level tornado. And while he was levitating himself at that, and also keeping them at a safe, area within the air, slowly creating a decline, declining them, sending them down slowly. However, he would still have to be given the news. And this news... Oh god, the dogs. It's the dogs again. Only as this news hit him, turns out he wasn't alone. He wasn't the only one hit hard by this news. his mother gone because of a bunch of risks that his parents took in order to have a second child, with the chance that their quirk would be fire breathing. Which, considering what their second child could already spew, it was looking very likely that fire breathing would be the quirk, or some sort of by-mouth fire manipulation. Yes, it almost seemed as if it was going to be a quirk that, starting out, it would look like regular fire breathing, but whenever it was out far enough, it could be manipulated into a bunch of different things related to fire. And even things you would never think of related to fire. However, that wasn't the main thing on everybody's minds. Well, basically, Inko is dead, and Hisashi, well, something about him. Not just a few moments for getting through the door, getting to his room, which was upstairs, he would fall, and would have went tumbling if it wasn't for Izuku's Esper quirk, just sitting out of hand, stopping the tumbling. However, by the time that had happened, it had already been too late. Hisashi would have broken too many bones by the time Izuku would have actually noticed this. And the bones would have been lodged into certain places, certain vital organs. The blood spewing from Hisashi's mouth, and even his eyes, as they rolled back into his head, would soon curl up in the fetal position and try to speak, but Izuku would tell him that he knows what's coming next, so don't try to speak. They would indeed live on. They wouldn't die. This would not be the end of the Midoriyas. And that's whenever Izuku would clench a fist as Izuku would say that. And at the same time that he would say that is whenever, finally, Masashi Midoriya would be at peace. First their mother, now their father. But Izuku wouldn't have been having it. The look on his face would have only made little brother want to pry more as the years went by. And that's when, all of a sudden, one day, Izuku's feeling especially fed up with Bakugo's bullshit, so would take a different route. Then all of a sudden be snatched up from behind by some really nasty looking villains. And nasty smelling villains by the smell of them too. She didn't even really have to he didn't even really have to try in order to get a waft of their odor. Disgusting pigs. And that's whenever a chloroform rag would come at Izuku's face. The next thing he knew, he would be woke up. Rope around him, he would be in a wooden chair. People would start asking questions like about exactly how Izuku got this power that they had been, they had been observing because they want it for themselves. And they figure that the only true way to get it is through someone who had a quirk. They say that they formerly worked with the Yakuza, so they kind of have their own little off-brand version of a way of making a special quirk-enhancing bullets. But they aren't really bullets, they're more like incisions. Incisions that would allow their members to access a special quirk that they wanted. They just needed to know what Izuku knew. But Izuku refused, even after being beaten senselessly and then left for dead. Gasoline poured on the floor and a match lit, dropped, the fire getting closer. Izuku thinking this was going to be the end. That's whenever someone basically grabbed them up while they were still in the chair and then escorted them out of the building somewhere where they could talk privately. Izuku would see as there would be heroes going to put out the fire, as Izuku would say what kind of fire it was, considering that Izuku saw how it was created and knew what to call that kind of fire, just in case someone needed to know how to put it out. Because water wasn't always the best method. And so, the person that was, escorting them out soon laid the chair that they were sitting on, tied on a rope. They still wouldn't have untied them. They still seemed bludgeoned to the head, and so their Esper powers were a little weakened. This person, this hero, the name. Well, you should be glad you're a pretty little thing. Otherwise, maybe I wouldn't have felt so charitable. Now, you do something to keep yourself from getting so kidnappable, because there's not always going to be someone to save you, you know. That's whenever Izuku would realize the rated R hero, Midnight, was the one who saved her. Not her, him, was the one who saved him. And that's whenever the hero Eraserhead would come and be like, no, no, Midnight. I don't think we have to be that harsh to the kid. However, shoo shoo, the ropes would have been cut down by Aizawa, having a hidden blade underneath one of his sleeves. I guess he had heard about the stakes of the entire thing, and so had Midnight. And so Izuku would stand firm and tall in front of both heroes and exclaim that, yes indeed, he will train to become strong. The best damn hero that they could be. Now Midnight was feeling a little bit better about this kid. And Aizawa, who could already see the potential in the Esper, you know, powers just now recuperating back to them. The amount of potential, though, it was crazy. Just looking into their eyes, it was insane. Aizawa wondered how they even were able to catch her, or him. How they were even able to catch him. And so, on the way back, would more or less be questioning Midnight on her methods, considering that the kids seem to have some, potential. Midnight basically saying that the kid looked like the kind of person who, well, Aizawa would then stop her before she could say anything else, wanting to keep Midnight from going too far. As then they would completely depart from any view. And, well, after that, well, the 10 months of training for the, UA exam. Considering Izuku is the highest of highest class tier espers, there is no way that Izuku is going to fail the written exam whenever we get to that. And we are indeed getting to that because the 10-month training period is kinda poop. So we really don't need to get on to that. So yeah, we basically skip over the practical exam. Excuse me to switch views again.
Hey, Bambino.
I am recording.
Oh, well, sorry, sir. I'll exit the room.
Love you. It would simply be just the gates. And there would be the other students. Izuku would realize the girl from the entrance. The one who seemed to be fiddling around with her quirk and some small objects. Because Izuku can levitate, so why the hell would he ever fall? I mean, Izuku's a freaking Esper. A high-class Esper at that. So, yeah, Izuku would have realized Uraraka, and realized that her power mainly, surrounds certain aspects of gravity. And, well, Izuku would think, not bad. And we'll go up to her. Well, Ida would try to stop, but then, smack. Just get smacked out of the way. Get out of my way, loser. That's a legit what Izuku would say. Get out of my way, loser. But it would be like, ugh, get out of my way, loser. Just maximum amount of disgust. And if you're wondering what Sonic's doing, well, Sonic would be, at home secretly cheering, his brother on. Brothers be cheering brothers on. And they would have been allowed custody, All Might, and Izuku would be like, wait, Bunny Ears over here? Is it gonna take care of us? How am I gonna get strong if Bunny Ears is taking care of us? And Izuku would just be like, how am I gonna get strong with Bunny Ears over here protecting us? How am I ever going to actually get actual training? And All Might would just be like, Bunny Ears? Is young Midoriya referring to my hairstyle? Looking like bunny ears? And All Might would just be thinking, well then, okay. Don't want to make a scene. But Izuku seems to not really care at all. Get out of my... Get out of my way, loser. I gotta go see this girl. And, just be like, sup. And Choco would just be like, hi there. And Izuku would be like, you seem nervous. Find a way to calm yourself down so that you don't flunk the test. The whole portion with the robots. And Ochako would be like, it's a lot easier said than done. And Izuku's like, no it isn't. just calm yourself. Is it really that hard for other people to calm themselves? I'm always calm. That is, unless some idiot or jerkwad comes to get in my way of becoming stronger. Like that explosion boy or senior loser back there. Pointing towards Ida. Those two are major pains in my head. Though Senior Idiot is a rather new one. Wait, what did you expect me to call him? Four Eyes? That's just so stereotypical. And Ochako would admit that Izuku's a little funny, so she would kind of laugh at that a little. And Izuku's like, see? They're already getting better right away. I guess you just need to find something that calms you down. Think about calm things, or things that bring you joy. I know that thinking about positive things always helps me. Thinking about basically how I'm going to destroy all the competition. Sorry about that, but it's still the truth. I am going to destroy all you guys. Nothing against all of you, it's just I'm going to make sure I'm the strongest, and nobody's going to stop me. Prove that I'm the best, and nobody's going to stop me. And it would just be like, go, 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 as the gates would open. And would just be like, everyone would go in, except for Izuku, just like, flying in with like this Esper energy around her. And this would be making it really easy to just catch robots while while he's flying. Bleh. Catch robots while he's flying, and while they're caught in this Esper web, just shoot them out, like throw them, like fling them, like flubber. And whenever they get flung into like a wall or something, they would just explode out of impact. How powerful the Esper power is. And Izuku would just be like, yeah, that's right, I'm a badass, I'm awesome, I'm the best, I'm the coolest. And just saying this as, like, darting past all a bunch of robots and throwing them up, throwing them down, throwing them up and down and all around. And would just be enjoying the hell out of this. And then all of a sudden, people would just be running away. And Izuku would be like, what the hell are you running away from? A bunch of cowards. And then all of a sudden I'd be like, help, help! And it'd be Ochako, and she would be underneath rubble. And Izuku would be like, oh, that seems actually pretty easy to deal with. And just summons like an Esper tornado to, like, get all the rubble off. Just like a tiny one. And, you know, just teleport straight up to Ochako, grab Ochako, and, like, the bridal post, and, like, be like, no one ever saw this. Is that right? And Ochako would be like, wait, what? And Izuku would be like, no, shush, shush, shush. No one ever saw this, right? And Ochako would be like, if that gets me out of here faster, then yes. And Izuku would be like, sheesh. And teleport over to Recovery Girl, and then teleport back to the zero pointer, and just be like, you should be glad I'm in a good mood. Otherwise, I could find way more painful ways to destroy you. And then all of a sudden, just mind crunch. Like all of a sudden, all the programming would be fried, and the zero pointer would just collapse in on itself like a black hole singularity. And Izuku would just be like, yeah, that just happened. Izuku would just be like, and I did it. And then you would just hear a voice, the test is over. And eventually, whenever the exception letters were being sent out, a exception letter, the whole thing, the disc, and the hologram will be a hologram of All Might. And he'd be like talking about how Izuku basically did. However, would mention, please don't call me bunny ears again. And Izuku would just be like, Dad? Why are you projecting holograms of yourself in here, even though you already live at this house? Couldn't you get someone else? And All Might would be like, that is indeed legit. However, all of the exception letters that actually were letting students in, well, were supposed to have me on them. And, well, I didn't want to argue, so this is kind of how it has to be. And, you know, Izuku would just be like, oh, well, guess I can't argue with that. And Izuku's like, well then, I guess that's just that. Next day is first day of UA. And something inside me is sensing that that one kid and Bakugo, they'll be there in the same class as me. Something inside of me is sensing it. And something inside of me is also sensing that I'm not wrong. So, just gonna make some dinner, and then nighty-night time. And All Might would be like, but I was thinking of, and then just like make a sandwich and walk to their room and be like, yeah, I'm gonna get it in here, nom nom nom. And All Might is just like, Jesus, I seem to have no power over that child. The one person that I do seem that does seem to have respect for me is their little brother, Sonic. And Sonic would be like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot to clean everything. Sorry." Just clean up my stuff. Oh wait, I'm probably gonna have to clean up Izuku's stuff too. They never do what they're supposed to do. It's like their mind's always running a million miles a second. They don't have time for anyone else. Not even family. And All Might's just like, well, I guess I can see why. Wanting to be so much stronger after being kidnapped and told that one day someone might not be there to save them. Being given that news by a hero, then another hero, ensnaring them. It must have been sending so many mixed messages. Izuku. Many mixed messages going through their head. And I know that doesn't make it right, but still, I feel sympathy for them. And empathy. It must hurt a lot to know that in this society of heroes, they still can't get any slack from anyone. And not only that, their mother and their father, your mother and your father. I can't imagine how I must feel. Which is why I'm not as hard on them. I feel for them, I really do. I just wish they would make better choices for themselves. Izuku, what am I going to have to do to get it through to you? That the world isn't against you. Well, I guess you can't win every battle. And I'll end the analysis, because that is where I'm going to end part 1 of this What If series that I'm actually really excited to do. So yeah. Never really done a One Punch Man before, so treading new waters in the sense of that. So on the analysis, as the Dark Shadow Maverick is OT out of here. Ya boys. Bye.